Hello, my name is Paris McCollum, and today I will be analyzing the adolescent development and the perks of being a wallflower. This film provides a rich look at the emotional, social, and cognitive experiences that shape adolescence, and I'll be connecting key course features and concepts to the characters and events in the movie. So, why did I choose this film? Well, it's a story that I connected deeply with as a teenager. I fell in love with the book, reading it in one day, the entire thing in one day, after a high school English teacher recommended it to me. And when I finally watched the movie for the first time, I really liked the cast as it brought a level of emotional authenticity that made the characters seem incredibly real. The film portrays adolescent struggles in a way that feels honest rather than exaggerated, and it also focuses heavily on mental health, identity development, and peer relationships, all themes which are central to understanding adolescence. So, what is this movie about? Well, it follows Charlie, a shy, introverted, but very smart 15-year-old who is entering high school after being hospitalized for depression. He feels isolated until he befriends two seniors, Sam and Patrick, who introduce him to friendship, belonging, and identity exploration through new experiences. Their support becomes especially important during a vulnerable time during Charlie's development. So, who are the main characters? Well, we have Charlie. He is a socially anxious, intelligent young man coping with trauma, including the suicide of his best friend. We have Sam, who is a warm, charismatic person, and she is working to rebuild her self worth while also challenging the unhealthy relationship patterns from her past. Last, we have Patrick, who is a confident and humorous, openly gay senior, um, but he's navigating secrecy, stigma, and emotional rejection due to his relationship with Brad. Each of these characters represent a different pathway through adolescent identity, relationships, and emotional development. So, what are some key contextual factors? Well, for starters, Charlie's family is a loving family, but they're unaware of the trauma he has repressed. His sister is also dealing with her own relationship issues, which adds another layer to the family dynamic. His peer group, the so-called misfit friend circle, gives him a sense of belonging and exposes him to identity exploration as well as risk-taking behaviors like parties and drugs. The school environment includes bullying, but it also includes supportive teachers like Mr. Anderson, who encourages Charlie's writing. And because the story is set in the early 1990s, there may have been some limited mental health awareness, which shapes how the characters cope with their struggles. So, why does this film matter for understanding adolescence? Well, this film shows how trauma can shape emotional and cognitive development. It highlights how essential peer belonging is during adolescence, and it depicts identity exploration in a realistic, nuanced way. This film also reflects the emotional complexity that many adolescents hide, and it demonstrates how supportive relationships can buffer stress and promote resilience. One of the major concepts in adolescent development is identity formation or identity development. According to Erickson, the establishment of a coherent sense of identity, what he called the crisis of identity versus identity diffusion, is a central psychosocial task of adolescence. This means that teenagers are actively exploring their values, relationships, and roles to figure out who they are and who they want to become. In the film, we see this clearly through the three main characters. Charlie experiments with friendships, dating, and self expression. In the film, Charlie's identity exploration becomes especially clear during the tunnel scene, where he describes feeling infinite, a moment that symbolizes his emerging sense of self. The other characters, such as Sam, reevaluates her self-worth and tries to break old patterns. Patrick struggles with identity secrecy because Brad is afraid of being outed, which reflects the additional challenges LGBTQ plus adolescents often face due to stigma. These portrayals align with what the textbook describes about identity exploration in adolescence, and they match research showing that LGBTQ plus youth often experience identity development under conditions of secrecy and stress. Overall, the film captures identity development as a relational and nonlinear process, which is consistent with developmental theory. Another key concept is peer influence. Adolescents are especially sensitive to the behaviors and opinions of their peers, and this can shape both risk taking and emotional development. Research shows that teenagers who are highly attuned to popular peers are more likely to engage in risky behaviors, including substance use, um, because popular peers often model those behaviors. We see this dynamic in the film when Charlie becomes involved in parties, drugs, and new social experiences through his friend group. A clear example of peer influence occurs when Charlie accidentally eats a pot brownie at a party, showing how peer environments can expose adolescents to risk taking. At the same time, Sam and Patrick provide emotional support, mentorship, and a sense of belonging, specifically when Sam tried to take care of Charlie after finding out that he was high. These are protective factors that the textbook highlights as crucial for healthy development. The film accurately reflects both sides of peer influence, the positive aspects like belonging and emotional safety, and the negative aspects like exposure to risky behavior. This balanced portrayal aligns with research showing that peers can be both risk enhancing and protective during adolescence. Concept is trauma and emotional regulation. Stress can affect individuals in different ways. For some teenagers, it can lead to internalized disorders such as anxiety, depression, headaches, indigestion, and even compromised immune functioning, as noted by the textbook. Charlie's experiences in the film reflect this research. His flashbacks, specifically the moment when Sam touches Charlie's thigh, triggering a dissociate flashback to his childhood abuse, his dissociation in the same situation, his emotional breakdowns, and eventual hospitalization reveal the long-term impact of childhood sexual abuse and unresolved grief. These symptoms are consistent with clinical descriptions of PTSD and emotional dysregulation in adolescents. The textbook also explains that trauma can disrupt mood, memory, and relationships, making it harder for adolescents to regulate their emotions. The film portrays these struggles realistically, although it simplifies recovery by resolving major issues quickly at the end, something that often happens in media portrayals of mental health. Media plays a huge role in shaping public beliefs about teens. Accurate portrayals, like the film's depiction of trauma, peer support, and emotional complexity, can increase empathy and reduce stigma. However, in contrast, inaccurate portrayals such as glamorizing substance use can distort expectations of what normal teen behavior looks like and may normalize risky behavior. These this film challenges stereotypes by showing adolescents as emotionally deep, vulnerable, and resilient. Through this analysis, I gained a deeper understanding of adolescence as a period defined by identity exploration, emotional vulnerability, and a strong reliance on peers. Supportive relationships and awareness of mental health challenges are crucial for healthy development. The film also highlights how important it is to recognize hidden trauma and the power of belonging. Adolescence is both a fragile and resilient uh, time, and many teens hide emotional pain behind humor, silence, or withdrawing. It reminded me how easily adults can overlook signs of distress when teens appear to be okay, and how important it is to approach adolescence with empathy and curiosity. So, thank you all for listening to my presentation. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.